Hello, I am your substitute teacher, Mr. Pacitti, and this is Tom's Classroom, so put away your mobile phones, put away your Miz title reigns. It's time to concentrate, it's time to study. This is Raw, and this is Graded. Kicking things off with the former WWE champion, Drew McIntyre, who of course we didn't see last week. He gives a quick recap of what went down at Elimination Chamber. He says that whoever wins out of Miz and Lashley tonight has a huge target on their back. He's then interrupted by Miz and Morrison. Miz gets about $1 billion worth of pyro. I hear fireworks sales have been skyrocketing since Miz became WWE champion. Do you get it? Do you get it? And then he brags about winning the belt. Miz says it's not his fault he's WWE champion, it's Lashley's. He's trying to put all the blame on Lashley like the master manipulator that he is. But Drew is not having any of it. Then they're interrupted by Montel Vontavious Porter. MVP comes out and doesn't say much of anything, really. He hypes the title match. He says that it's going to take place at 9 p.m. Eastern, so please stay tuned, folks. But now it's time for Sheamus to come out. We've got ourselves a bloody match. Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus. Before we get to the match, a fine promo here, it gets a B. Drew did exactly what we all thought he was going to do, laying claim to the WWE title that he lost at Elimination Chamber after such a hard-fought battle, but that doesn't make it any less cool as far as I'm concerned. Miz was really on form last night. He was his usual conniving arsehole self, and I think it was very effective indeed. I think they could have given MVP a little bit more to say than, hey, the match is in just under an hour. Please watch Raw, but minor complaints. Yeah, it's a B. So now it's time for Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre, and once again, this is exactly what you would expect from Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre. Hard-hitting, big kicks and punches and knees and elbows and big bodies too, because they're both bloody massive, aren't they? Nice little spot where Drew nicks Sheamus's chest-pounding thing through the ropes, and then Drew eats a bro kick, tumbling to the outside as we go to commercial. Back from the break, and Sheamus very much in control. He is battering Drew. He's working the jaw, but he's also working pretty much everywhere else on Drew's body as well. He's just like the punches being thrown last night. Potatoes. Drew mounts a comeback, and then the two brawl to the outside. There's a few announce table spots, including one where Drew hits a belly-to-belly on Sheamus right on the side of the announce table. Absolutely brutal stuff. And then they get back in the ring. Fast forward a bit, and I'm not intentionally skipping stuff. It was just two big, burly lads kicking 7 shades of sugar out of one another. Have I gotten that point across yet? Drew McIntyre eats a white noise, kicks out at 2, and then Sheamus eats a future shock DDT, kicks out at 2, and then they go up top and Drew hits white noise on Sheamus from the top rope for another 2 count. Neither man can put the other away, so Drew goes for another future shock, but it's reversed into an Alabama slammer. Love you, Bob Holly. And then Sheamus sets up for the bro kick. He looks like he's going to have it, but no. Drew taking him out midair with a claymore for the 1, 2, 3. Drew wins. I loved this. It gets an A from me. It was probably my favourite thing on the show, actually. It's really very much a case of it all being downhill from here. Drew winning is the right decision. He needed the win, really, after Elimination Chamber and dropping the strap. But I'm glad that it was competitive. But Drew and Sheamus coming out of this one looking like total badasses. We all knew Sheamus was a badass, but Drew too. And so yeah, a decent match, just really hard-hitting stuff. Enjoyed it a lot. It wouldn't have felt out of place on pay-per-view, to be honest. I wouldn't mind getting this at Fastlane, because these two have great chemistry. They're BFFs, aren't they? Of course they do. But yeah, decent match, good way to kick off the show. Next up, it's Nia Jax versus Naomi. Obviously, Naomi and Lana winning last week to become the #1 contenders to the women's tag team titles. But before we get there, here's a singles match for you. Nia quickly takes control of Naomi. Bear hug, headbutt, Samoan drop, and then a choke slam, and that's your lot. No comeback, no hope spot, nothing. What? This was bollocks. Absolute bollocks. It served no purpose, and it actually did more damage than good. Like, this really hurt Naomi, who got practically no offense in, despite being one half of the #1 contenders. and it actually damaged the women's tag title scene as a whole. I know we're used to that, but there you go. And I don't want you to think the F is because, hey, it's Naya. He hates Naya. It's not. I think Naya is at her best when she's dominating people. But Naomi here? Pointless. This didn't hype the upcoming tag title match one bit, because you've just seen one half of the number one contenders get utterly destroyed. So why didn't they just give Naomi the win here? Or at least have a competitive match? Now, who wants to see that eventual tag title match? Nobody, because one half of the challengers looks utterly weak, and the other half is Lana. So, no offense to Lana, this was just crap. And you know what makes this even worse? Sorry to blab on about this. Naomi has only just recently returned. She's already been put in some rubbish thrown together tag team, and now this has happened. And Naomi is somebody that you can build an entire women's division around. I'm not saying that that needs to be the case right now. There are other women on the roster doing absolutely fantastic stuff. But what a complete waste of Naomi's talents. Bobby Lashley versus The Miz is up next. The WWE title is on the line. Get the cat excited. Bobby Lashley is in the ring. He's ready to go, but cut backstage, and The Miz is poorly. He's not well. He's not a happy bunny. He's bent over. He's holding his tummy. He's got food poisoning or suiting. He is in no fit state to compete. But Bobby Lashley will not take no for an answer. He runs backstage, chokes Miz out, and the match is rescheduled for an hour's time at the top of hour 3. So what have we learned as an audience? Don't bother tuning in to the top of hour 2, because you'll only be let down. Back to the ring now, and big Braun Strowman grabs a mic and says that Adam Pearce and Shane McMahon have been having a laugh at his expense. They've been conspiring against him, blah, 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 blah. Out comes Adam Pearce and Shane McMahon. So Braun's all pissed off because he's got this tag team match later on tonight, but he doesn't know who his partner's going to be. And Shane then goes on about how he's been taking a course in conflict management. And the key to conflict resolution is communication. And then Shane says, it was me who set up that tag team match and me who chose your partner for you. And your partner is somebody in WWE management. Oh, is it Shane himself? Vince? Maybe? Oh. No, it's Adam Pearce, and it's happening right now. But there's a bonus, right? Because it's for the Raw Tag Team titles. That's right, it's the dream match of Braun Strowman and Adam Pearce taking on Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander for the gold. Ring the bell! Ding, ding, ding. Braun immediately dominating, throwing both men over the top to the outside of the ring, and then he does his the Strowman Express, or whatever it's called. He runs into them on the outside of the ring. And goodness me, the tag champs look like suckers here. He continues destroying the heads of the Raw Tag Team division. They do get a brief comeback with a bit of double teaming, but that lasts all of 30 seconds before Braun Strowman hits the running power slam, and he's got it won. He's got the bloody belts won for him and Adam Pearce. But then Shane gets up on the apron and he's all like, Braun, tag in Pearce, let Pearce get the bloody pinfall. So for some reason, Braun listens to him, tags in Adam Pearce. Pearce goes for the pinfall, inside cradle, 1, 2, 3, and fortunately, the Hurt Business, Shelton and Cedric, are still tag team champions. So that's your lot. After the match, Braun is all pissed off with Shane McMahon because Shane McMahon was the man who suggested that Adam Pearce should get involved in the match. Despite the fact that Braun is a monster and about 20 foot tall, and he didn't actually need to listen to Shane McMahon, but Braun looking like an absolute idiot, taking it all out on Shane at the end with his words. He's not got physical yet, and we are one step closer to, I think, the inevitable Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon match at WrestleMania that we've all been pining for. Bit crap this, wasn't it? I'll give it a D-. Braun looks like an idiot. The Raw Tag Team Champions look utterly pathetic. And Shane McMahon looks like a tomato, but nothing new there. I don't get this, because I don't even understand who we're supposed to be rooting for in all of this. Like, is Braun the babyface? Is Shane the baby? I don't know, and I don't care. D-. Back Backstage now, and Elias tries to get Bad Bunny to agree to a collaboration between the two artists, but Bad Bunny not keen on that. And then in the ring, Bad Bunny and Damian Priest interrupting Elias's concert, and then we get a match. Elias taking on Damian Priest. Bit back and forth, Priest largely in control. There's not too much to say about this. They didn't have the best chemistry, if I'm honest. It was alright, nothing wrong with it. But just imagine a Damian Priest versus Elias match on Monday Night Raw. Visualize that. That's it. You've got it. It was that match. Elias ends up taking control after quite a cool spot, actually, where he yanked Damo's throat into the rope, and then there's a bit of outside interference from Jackson Riker. He nails a cheap shot from the outside through the ropes, but Damian Priest manages to get his head back in the game. Nail hit the lights for the win, and that's your lot. The match was fine, I guess, so have a C for it, but to be honest, it just sort of felt like killing time, didn't it? I get why they would want to do it. Look, Bad Bunny, he's a musician. Elias, he's a musician. There's a ready-built feud there, but nobody really cares. It's too close to WrestleMania to be doing that sort of stuff, and I understand why they can't get to the Miz and Morrison stuff straight away, because Miz was WWE champion until the end of the night. Spoilers! But yeah, this just felt like a waste of time. Nobody thought Elias was going to win, so there was nothing to invest in. There you go. I can't help but feel that the whole thing would have worked better as just like a backstage promo or something like that rather than a 7 or 8 minute match, whatever it was. Speaking of backstage promos, it's time to go backstage and hear from Randy Orton, who has just finished watching a replay of him sicking up his Blackjacks from the other day on Raw. Remember Blackjacks? Delicious. Before Randy has much of a chance to say anything at all, Alexa Bliss appears on the screen. She's got a jack in the box. It's all very spooky, very sinister, and she says, "Bring it back." A reference, of course, to the great S Club 7 song that we all know and love. And then Randy Orton appears on the screen as well. So we've got a Randy there, and we've got a Randy on the screen too. And then in a funny modulated voice, he goes, "Randy, soon you'll come face to face with everything you've ever done." It sounded nothing like that at all. And Randy Orton, this has obviously gotten to him, seeing a very scary version of himself with contact lenses in and all that. And Randy starts coughing up his sweets once again. This was fine, it was too short to grade, but the performances by the wrestlers themselves, pretty decent. It is a tad silly, but it all makes sense in storyline, or as much as something as bat poo as this can make sense. And I'm enjoying it. I'm looking forward to the eventual Fiend versus Randy match. Dong! It's 10 p.m, so that means a WWE title match. Surely it's going to happen this time. It's Bobby Lashley versus The Miz for the gold. So Lashley and Miz are out there, but then Miz grabs a mic and he's like, no, a match of this magnitude, it shouldn't happen here on Monday Night Raw. It should happen at WrestleMania. Let's do it at the granddaddy of them all. Lashley's having none of it. Ring the bloody bell, it's on. Miz pegs it straight out there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. Ref counts to 10. It's a count out. So Miz has lost the match, but he's retained his WWE title. Oh. Cut backstage, and Shane is not best pleased about what has just occurred in the ring, and he says that he's going to consider stripping The Miz of the WWE title, and he's especially serious because MVP and Lashley both saying naughty words. MVP said bull plops, and Bobby Lashley said piss. Piss. Charlotte Flair is out next, and she says that she's put all of the Lacey Evans stuff behind her because, well, Lacey's pregnant, and hopefully WWE never revisit that particular storyline again. It was just getting going. It could have been great. No, it couldn't. But anyway, she has got her sights set on Asuka. She wants the Raw Women's Champion at WrestleMania. Enter Shayna and Naya. Shayna and Naya trash-talking the Queen. And then before we get to singles action, it's Shayna versus Charlotte, by the way. Before we get there, though, a big old beatdown by the tag team champions. Naya hitting the leg drop before we go to commercial, and then we come back, and the match is on. And you might think that, hey, Charlotte's been beaten down. She's not especially fresh. She might actually lose this one. But then you remember that it's Charlotte Flair. And that's not what happens at all. Shayna is in control for a smidge, not for very long at all, before she locks in the clutch. Charlotte reverses it. and hits natural selection to pick up the win. God bless you, Charlotte. So Charlotte managed to overcome the odds and get a D- in the process. Because once again, and I've said this a few times tonight, this was just bollocks, wasn't it? D- here, because this once again demonstrated that WWE just do not care about the tag division at all. In fact, let's just take a quick look at what happened in the tag title scene last night, shall we? Singles competitor Braun Strowman dominates the Raw Tag Team Champions, but then loses, but by fluke. Check. Women's Tag Champion defeats one half of number one contenders with relative ease, removing any hype from the upcoming title match. Check. Charlotte Flair out-wrestles both women's tag champions to make them look like absolute mugs. Oh, you better believe that's a check. It's just so obvious that singles feuds take priority, and we're used to that as WWE fans, but when those singles feuds are tied up in the tag title scene as well, it makes it completely impossible to invest in tag teams and even tag team champions, because they're just such an afterthought, and it's just not fun to watch. I'm so tired of it. It happens on both the men's and women's sides of the tag title scenes, and yeah, it's, well, word of the day, bollocks. Backstage once again, and Shane McMahon clarifies that he will indeed strip Miz of the title if he doesn't show up for his WWE title match, which is the main event. It wasn't at the top of hour 2 or 3, it was the main event. Gasp. Anyway, it's time for 6-man tag action now as the Lucha House Party team with Riddle to take on Retribution. Retribution were in control for the early stages of this match, but it doesn't last long at all. Fast forward just a couple of minutes, and Slapjack, bless him, eats a big elbow from Lucha House Party, and the babyfaces pick up the win. Ali is once again understandably upset by the failings of his stable, and so he's like, watch this, I'll get the job done, and challenges Matt Riddle to a match right now. And we get a short but spirited bout between the pair. So after just a few short minutes, as I say, this was super quick, it felt really rushed, which is often the case with the segment before the main event. Last night, definitely no exception. It looks like Riddle's got the match won, but then Retribution, they all get involved, distracting the ref, which allows Mustafa Ali to hit a top rope something. I'm not quite sure it worked how it was meant to, but he puts away Matt Riddle for the win. If my grading was based entirely on in-ring action, this would be getting a pretty low grade, but I'm generously going to give it a C+, because despite the in-ring action not being all that, I think the storytelling here was actually quite good. Ali has been frustrated in recent weeks because Retribution have let him down, but last night, when they all worked together, Ali managed to get the job done. So it doesn't look like Retribution will be ending. I thought that might be it for them after last week, but it appears that they're going to stick together for a bit longer, and I think Ali and Matt Riddle could have some really nice matches over the US Championship. Fingers crossed this results in a title win for Mustafa Ali, to be honest, because he's so tremendous, so underutilized. We'll see if that happens, but I'm looking forward to the matches. So that one gets a C+, but now we can talk about the WWE title match finally, because it's main event time. The Miz versus Bobby Lashley for the WWE title. And Shane comes out just before the match starts and makes it a lumberjack match. There is no escaping for Michael. So the entire Raw locker room have surrounded the ring. Miz, seizing his opportunity, tries to hit Bobby Lashley with the WWE title, but it doesn't work. And then he tries to escape, but obviously that doesn't work either. It's a lumberjack match, you dickhead. So the Raw roster throw him back into the ring, essentially feeding him to the wolf that is Bobby Lashley. Lashley absolutely dominates The Miz. There's no other way to put it. He batters him for a little bit before locking in the Hurt Lock. Miz taps, and we've got a new WWE champion, and his name is Bobby Lashley. And then before the show ends, Lashley locks him in the Hurt Lock once again and just beats him up a little bit more for the lols. So first of all, massive congratulations to massive Bobby Lashley for becoming WWE champion. The Hurt Business were one of my favorite things about Monday Night Raw in 2020. I think they were so entertaining, and Bobby Lashley was a big part of that. WWE have done a very good job of making Bobby Lashley feel like a main event guy, and now he's WWE champion. This is the most I've been invested in Bobby Lashley ever, probably including his time in Impact as well. He's doing incredible work. So massive congratulations congratulations to you. I'm not quite sure what to give this one. I've settled on a B because there's more that I like about this than I don't like. So I'll get the stuff that I don't like out of the way first. I don't like the fact that Miz dropped the belt straight away because I would have liked him to at least hold it until Fastlane. But again, Fastlane is so close to WrestleMania, maybe things would have felt a bit rushed there. What I did really like about this is, first of all, the Miz playing his role to perfection. He was a proper chicken poo heel, trying to manipulate and weasel his way out of the match at multiple points throughout the night. But more importantly, Bobby Lashley looks like an unstoppable monster, and he could quite easily become the face of WWE, and I can't wait to see the inevitable Drew versus Bobby Lashley match. It should be absolutely sensational. Overall though, this show was a slog to get through. There's no other way to put it. It doesn't feel like we're on the road to WrestleMania. There were really nonsensical booking decisions. There were pointless short matches throughout, and it was 3 hours that just dragged and dragged and dragged, and not even the main event could save it. The only things worth watching, the main event and the Drew versus Sheamus match. Everything else was just bleh. So yeah, there you go. It's a C- for this episode of Raw. Don't lose sleep if you don't manage to catch it, to be honest. Watch the Sheamus and Drew match. Watch the main event. Whatever. Anyway, I better get back to work. I've got to go and annoy Soulja Boy on Twitter. Take care. Bye.